Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Kia ora koutou katoa. A brother asked me before I started, are you nervous? I said, nah, I'm not nervous because I'm speaking in front of my family. Yous are my family. Yous are my brothers and sisters. You brothers are my iwi. So first of all, I'd like to speak in my native tongue. How I always started a speech, a kōrero. And that's by my pepeha, my whakapapa. Ko kaurana ki te maunga, ngara roro te awa, tāki tumu te waka, ko kohu pāti ki te marae, ko ngā te hore te hapu, ko kahurangi, ko nā te kaununu ke hiritanga te iwi, ko John, rao ko Mavis, rao ko Jim, rao ko Ruby, toku mātua tipuna, ko Tini Pini toku māma, ko Shane Naera toku pāpa, ko Michael Hikawera Timothy toku ingoa. First of all, I said Kauranaki is a mountain in my area, is where I'm from. Wairuro is the river that flows from my mountain. Takitumu is the waka my people came to New Zealand on. Kohupātiki is the marae I call my homestead. Ngāti Hore is the iwi within the iwi, the tribe within the tribe. Ngāti Kaununu ki Hiritanga is my district iwi. John Naera, Mavis Naera, Ni Marshall, Jim Penny, Ruby Penny, Ni Waraki are my grandparents. Tini Penny is my mum. Shane Naera is my father. That's how I've always started my kōrero, whānau. It's my whakapapa, my identity, who I am. I like to first start with my early childhood, my family. I was a family of 8. I have 7 siblings. I have 2 younger brothers who are Muslim. I have an older sister and a younger sister, and 2 older brothers. Inshallah, they become Muslim. We grew up by a single mother. She took it hard. We were poor, but we were happy. Me and my brothers, we loved each other. We don't say it to each other much because the staunchness in who we are as Māori, we just like to stand in staunch, but I love my brothers and sisters. We don't say much to each other, but I love them. We were poor, but we were happy. As a teenager, you know, my friends, I consider my friends as my family because, you know, my siblings weren't really there in my life because we were separated. My friends were my family. So, you know, I never liked religion growing up because I thought it was brainwashed. People were brainwashed. I thought people go into churches, mosques, Hindu temples, whatever who you are, were brainwashed. You know, growing up, I thought, nah, these fellas, you know, let's lock them in the building. So, you know, every time as a young teenager, every time I went past religious buildings, I got on the waipiro, I got on the piss, you know, I went past, spat on it, pissed on the buildings, hated it, because I thought they were brainwashed. These colonised people come to my country and try to colonise me. That's how I was, arrogant. I played a lot of sports. I called myself average, but people called me good. I don't consider myself as good. I don't consider myself as an average person. I went to Australia. This was when I changed my life completely. I was in an induced coma for 24 hours. And I went into rehabilitation in the brain injury area in hospital. There was a lot of sad stories that I came across when I was in the hospital. There was a sister. She was mentally not there no more. She was dancing on the table, drunk. Slipped, fell off, fell down the steps and cracked her head, and now she's not mentally there no more. You know, when I was talking to her, you know, it gave a bit of emotion to me. I was like, I do have a heart. I do care about somebody. Growing up with arrogance, you know, it kind of overtakes you sometimes, but, you know, when you sit down having one-on-one talk with somebody, you know, I realised I do have a heart. And then I seen another person who was in there. He was playing soccer. He hit-butted the ball, and for some reason he was mentally ill. But his partner was still there to that day. She was by his side. She loved him, even though he was mentally not there. So I was like, man, I do have a heart. I do care about people. So I came back to New Zealand. I wasn't allowed to play rugby no more because of my brain injury. I came back to New Zealand. I met my first baby mama. We rushed into the relationship quite fast, had a kid, but mentally I wasn't there. I wasn't there as a father because I never had a father growing up. I knew who my father was, but I never had a father growing up, so how can I be a father? So I was going into depression. Me and my first baby mama separated, and then I started to go downhill. Then later on, I met my wife, who I love today. I seen something in her. I've even told her to this day. There was just some light in her that, made me want to be with her. Then we moved to Auckland, up in North Shore. And then the relationship grew bigger, and then she got pregnant. I was like, oh man, I'm a father again. I don't know how to be a father. Then, step by step, she went through the rough and everything. And she was there. She's been by my side ever since, through the thick and thin. So I was like, I needed a purpose in my life. I needed something in my life. I went to work in Glenfield. I was at, what is it called? Making windows and sliding doors and everything. I met a Fijian Indian brother there. I didn't know he was Muslim. Him as a mentor, he was just there for me. He looked after me. He even gave me a shoulder just to have one-on-one time with him. He doesn't know the reason why I became Muslim through him. Maybe through this corridor, he might finally figure out that he was the reason. He wasn't really a practicing Muslim, but him, his mentor, and him as a fatherly figure, I looked up to. Then later on, I overheard somebody talking about he was Muslim. I was like, what's this Muslim belief? I was like, what's this? All I know about the Muslim belief was, terrorists. But, I was like, alhamdulillah. He just told, I overheard some co-workers talking about him. Oh, he's a Muslim. He's one of us, one of them. He's like, oh, this fella's a Muslim. I was like, what's this Muslim all about? And then later on, I was like, I might as well go look into this religion. I looked into this religion. He told me a bit about himself. Didn't really go more into detail. He told me a bit about himself. He said he's a Muslim, but he doesn't follow none of these people who he just doesn't follow some of the things. He was open and honest about it. But just him as a mentor and as a person looking up to, as a fatherly figure, gave me that interest about a religion. Because I wasn't religious back in the days. I hated religion. So that little, so-called dawah, as you can say, gave me that push. Allah changes who He wills. And I was one of those. So just that little thing gave me a bit of interest. So I looked into, movies, videos, YouTube videos, lectures and all that. Then I decided I want to become Muslim. I told my wife, I'm going to become Muslim. She's like, oh yeah, this is just one of your stages. Then I was like, nah, I'm going to become Muslim. I wrote on Facebook. There was I wrote on Facebook, New Zealand Muslims. And then it came up of New Zealand Muslim Association. I wrote on the page, hey, I want to become Muslim. Or what is it? I was nervous, shaking. I want to become Muslim now, but I pushed enter. What I got was, I come to these events, come to that, and say, I don't want to go to events. I want to become Muslim. What is it? I don't want to go to these events. like I'm shy. I don't want to go into, talking to people who are from a different country, like I don't know what to say. So, I read on Facebook, and then there was a sister who messaged me. And I knew her brother real well. I knew her brother before Islam. I don't want to say his name because, he might want to keep things private. But I knew this brother real well from where I was brought up. We didn't know each other personally, but we knew of each other. He was from here, I was from here. He knew my older brothers because, I wasn't in his age category. I was a young buck, a young fella. So I brought up with him. He gave me some numbers. He gave me some numbers to message, to let these fellas know that I was interested. I messaged 3 numbers. Only 2 of them got back to me. And then later on, my wife said, "Oh, I know some Muslims. My best friend's Muslim." I was like, "Now you want to tell me?" And then she rang up her friend. Then her and her friend and her mum started to talk. And then her stepdad, who was Egyptian, started talking to me on the phone. I didn't know. I understand one thing he said. And then I was like, "Yep, you are Muslim now." I was like, "Oh, am I?" I was like, "Oh, okay then." But it didn't feel like I was because I couldn't understand him. And then later on, maybe about 2 days later, 3 days later, there was a brother who messaged me. He was like, "Kia ora, brother. I heard you were interested in becoming Muslim." He was Māori, brother. Then I was like, "Yes, I am, brother. I'm keen as." So he said, "Oh, you've arranged a date." So we arranged the date. I lived in North Shore, and he asked me, "Is there any beaches around your area?" He said, "Yeah." "Oh, sweet. I'll bring the whānau up." So he brought him and his kids up and another Māori brother. They gave me a bit of run through about Islam, and I was like, I didn't care. Like, I just wanted to become Muslim. Like, they gave me a bit of a run through of Islam and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then we did my shahara on a beach in North Shore. And then, that brother's been there for me ever since to this day. And the brother knows who he is, and I'd like to thank him. So, and then his son gave me my name, Yaqub, and I stayed to that name to this day. My new identity. My name is Yaqub. So later on, becoming a Muslim, I wanted to become the best of Muslims. I wanted to become a shaykh in the religion. Even though the brothers told me, the 2 Māori brothers who came over to my house, take baby steps. Not me. I wanted to, go hungry, go fast. I wanted to learn everything. But the more I learned, the more the faults I've seen in people. Believe it or not, us as Māori, some people don't like being, some brothers in here don't like being questioned. "Oh, that's wrong, that's wrong. Oh, what are you? You're just Māori. You're not a shaykh. You're not you're not this." So they brought me down. The more I learned, the more faults I've seen in people, not in the religion, in people. And the more I question people, "Hey, you're doing this wrong." "Oh, who are you?" "Oh, I've been Muslim for 2 years or whatever." "Oh, no." But I'm only wanting to learn, not, "Hey, you're doing this wrong." I'm only, show me the authentic hadith, or show me in the Quran where it states that you're allowed to do this. But then they start to get more angry. It's these certain groups, they started to get more angry. It's like, I'm only new to religion. I wanted, if I want to follow something, I want to follow the authentic. I want to follow the truth, I want to follow the Sunnah of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want to follow the Quran and Sunnah. I'm new to religion. I went to church as a kid, but I was new to religion. I don't want to follow this stuff that's, a weak hadith or whatever. I wanted to follow the haqq. So, the more I seen faults, the more I went astray. Then I started to isolate myself. And I tell you, brothers, don't isolate yourself. I isolated myself for at least 5 years. I went farming. Brothers said, "Oh, mashallah, you're a farmer." Yeah. But brothers, I tell you, don't isolate yourself. Surround yourself with good brothers. you know. Surround yourself with good brothers, because I started isolating myself, and that wasn't good. I started to question myself. Was that right? Was that right? Oh. Then I started going astray, because I thought I wasn't following the sunnah as required. So I started to go astray, started to get into bad habits again. Later on, I'll go backtrack. My wife, she became Muslim. She became Muslim giving birth to my son. She was like, I want both of us to become Muslim when her first child was born. So I was like, she was having, contractions and everything. It's quickly, and he said, like, yep, wait for that contraction to finish and then we do it. And then, we did it, and alhamdulillah, my wife gave birth to our first Mujahid, the first Muslim brother. So, and then my daughter was born. And when I was, going astray, my daughter was born. I named her Samaya, one of the Sahabis of our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I named her after that because I said, no matter what you're going, she was the first martyr of one of the followers. She was the first martyr from the followers of our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I named her that because I was going to tell her when she gets older, no matter who's trying to bring you down, who's trying to, lead you astray, remember your name. Remember your name. She was there to the end. She was there to the end. So I was like, if I'm going to name my daughter that, what am I doing? What am I doing? I was going sidetrack myself. What was I doing? I met a lot of brothers in here, they might not remember me because I was always in the background, keeping to myself. I was always sitting in the back over there quiet while these two brothers from Hawke's Bay, everyone knows who they are. But I was in the background because I was shy. So, my daughter was born, and that's what changed me back. Allah brought me back even stronger. When I was in this group, I knew I was trying to say, we're allowed to, do this halal. We're allowed to do this halal. But I was still sticking to things halal and haram, but I was in the wrong environment. So, my daughter was born. She brought me back, seeing her, realised, I want my kids to be brought up a good Muslim lifestyle, but I'm not. So I want to come back even stronger. So I started getting, then I started to get back into the community more often. I started to get myself out there, meeting brothers. First of all, I was shy. I'm shy as. I started to go out there and meet brothers, and alhamdulillah, the rewards I've got from that. I went to Fiji, going to Vanuatu, helping my community in a good way. Doing dawah, even though it's just me, I'm still out there doing dawah. I told my brothers in Hawke's Bay, even if it's thunderstorms, even though it's windy, there might be that one person that walks past that needs it. And I'll be there for them. That's the reason why we created Al Ansar Al. It was already created beforehand, but we reignited it. We started a gym in our hometown for brothers to come. They come through what I was going through. They have a facility for them, for us. They have a talk. Sometimes brothers, sit around and be quiet because they say, I'm too weak. That's too weak saying this. Whatever happens at the gym, whatever's said at the gym stays in the gym. We're here to talk with each other, support one another. We are brothers. We're here to lift one another up. And the gym's been active since almost 8 months now. And we've seen a lot of progress and a lot of help and support from brothers, from Auckland, from Wellington, from Taranaki. We've seen a lot of support. And we recently just had some brothers from Auckland come down, and they had a blast. Literally a blast. They came down. I took them. Yeah, I showed them just the iceberg of my hometown. You know, us Māoris, we love to hunt, we love to fish, we love to dive. Doesn't mean we should change ourselves. Let's be ourselves, but in an Islamic way. We are Māoris, we are Polynesian, but we are also Muslims. You know, don't try to change ourselves. You know, we're not soccer players. We're rugby players. We don't need curry. We don't need curry. We have boilers. We have warfish. You know, be us, who we are. Express it. You know, coming into the community together. That's why we lift on each other up, hand in hand. Now, you know, brothers. You know, now my best friends. You know, he's a Muslim, and inshallah, more Muslims will come. My brother's wife, she became Muslim. You know, you see that rapid effect when you start to change. You know, and you know, I like, you know, in this conversation, this lecture of how I always ended a conversation is that no reira tēnā koutou, kia ora koutou katoa.